Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to the Results Podcast. It's great to be back, sharing with you some more, I believe, great ideas to market your business and to get your business, importantly, back on track, because we've all been through a really tough time, and in fact, we're still going through it, and we're probably going to be going through it, I don't know, maybe for the next year. But one thing I do know is that when tough times, marketing becomes far more important than it is even in great times, and it's important then. So, if you're serious about the future of your business, you're not just going to be one of those people who just sit back and go, oh, well, times are tough. People are not buying right now. The economy's bad and there's no point doing any marketing. If you're like that, then, that's going to be your future, believe me. The only way for you to get out of this is to fight like a dog, because times are difficult, and get your sales and marketing arse out there and start blooming pushing. You're right, it's not going to be easy. You're right, it's tougher than it was. So therefore, does that mean you hold back and don't bother, or does it mean you have to try even harder? For me, and I hope for you, it means the latter. It means you're going to have to try even harder. You're going to have to put more effort in. You're going to have to put more time in, not less. When sales are down, it's not a good time to cut the very thing that creates sales. It's to double it, triple it, quadruple the amount of time, money and effort you're putting in order to get the results that you want. And that's a really important message. But today, I wanted to focus on one opportunity that you've got that if you're like 99% of the businesses that I work with and speak to and network with and so on, people that attend my webinar and seminars and those sorts of things, are not really doing. They're often playing at it. And when I say that, I mean that they've done one or two. I'm talking about video, the use of video. Now, you've probably heard me before on my podcast talking about, you must use video in your marketing. And you really must. And video is such an amazing opportunity. Let me just tell you why I think this is so important. And by the way, next Thursday, I'm doing an hour-long webinar all about this. So if you want to attend that, just go to www.stevemills.co. So this is an hour-long webinar all about video, how to do it, why to do it, and what to do. So you might want to attend that. So where was I? Why should you be doing video? Well, I'd say the number one reason is to improve your online capability of influencing people. Now, when I say the word influence, some people think that's got a negative connotation. I don't mean try to twist people's arms. I mean, when I'm selling something, I would never sell anything to anybody ever who it wasn't right for. So with the word influence, I'd add the word ethical influence. If I know I can help somebody and I have to influence them to push them over the edge to get them to come and work with me, then that's a really good thing. And video is a great tool for that. If you think about it, the way we communicate with one another, we communicate using our senses. We've got 5 senses of smell and taste and sight and hearing and touch. They're our 5 senses. Now, obviously, smell and taste don't really come that much into marketing, although if you're a supermarket, the smell of freshly baked bread when you walk into the door has often created additional sales. But let's just focus on the main 3, if we could, and that is sight, hearing and touch. Now, obviously, as far as videos are concerned, you can't actually touch a video. But what you can do is you can use arguably your main two resources, and that are sight and sound. So if you think about that, if you compare a typical web page or an email or a report or some information that you're getting out there into the market, and you spend half an hour, 45 minutes perhaps writing it, and then you get someone to proofread it, and they come up with a couple of ideas to make it better. So you go back and rewrite some of it, and then you get it proofread again, and then an hour to an hour and a half later, you get it uploaded to a website, only to find that not that many people read it because it's too long and in depth. Whereas if you compare that to a video, that you can produce a decent video in, it could be just a minute or two, but it could be, say, a 10-minute video, 15, 20 minutes. And by the way, the old saying that, videos should be no more than 2 minutes long because people won't read it. That's just, not read it, watch it. That's just absolute bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is. It certainly shouldn't, there's no such thing as too long. However, there is too boring. There's definitely videos that are too boring. So we don't want to write and produce and basically develop videos that are too boring. We do want them that are really interesting. However, back to why video. So the first reason is we can use and utilize everybody's full senses there. They can see me, they can hear me, they can see the passion in my face. They can look at me and think, do you know what, that guy's clearly a mass murderer, hatchet guy. Or, hopefully they look and they see a decent human being who seems quite friendly. He comes across in a nice way, or he comes across in a professional way, or he comes across in a sincere way, whatever you want to try to establish, probably all three of those. And he's clearly an expert in what he's talking about. He really knows his stuff. Now, the truth is, when you're writing something, anybody could write it. I could outsource that to somebody who's a copywriter, and they write it. And when they, as in my prospects, contact me, they have no real perception of me. Whereas when they've watched me on a video, they feel they sort of know me. I'll always remember the day I met Peter Thompson. Peter's a guy pretty much like me in many ways. He's a business advisor person, and I'd spent, I've been doing this 25 years now, and I'd spent quite a bit of time not watching Peter on video, but listening to him on, back then it was even cassette. It was on cassette and then on CD, and I'd spent many, many, many hours listening to him, and it was really weird when I met him, because he was exactly how he was on the CD. And when you've listened to somebody on a CD for many, many hours, and then you meet them in person, it's a little bit of a weird situation, really, to be honest, and so it was with Peter. But the point being is that by the time I met him, I felt as though I knew him. And Peter's a great guy, and he came across that way on his cassettes and CDs, and later on video and in person. And so what I'm saying here, I think, is the potential of video to influence it ethically and to create more leads for you is significant. One thing I will tell you, that if you look at my website, you'll find that it's pretty much inundated with video, and we've done lots of testing, and we found that when there's a video on a page, it converts by round about 40% higher than it does without. So if I do, for example, a email campaign, just talking about maybe my next webinar, for example, and I tell people to go there, and I tell people that, if you go there, There's some great information and ideas, and they go and there's a video there and they watch that video, there's far more chance that they'll attend the webinar. And so that's a real good factor. The other factor is, the use of that video when you've produced it. So you produce a video, and what are you going to do with it? That's another key, and that's a really big why. Why would you produce a video that, maybe only a handful of people are going to listen to? Well, you wouldn't. You'd get it out there. You'd send it out there on email. You'd add it to your blog. You'd add it to your website. You'd do a whole range of social media around it on all the different sites that you could. You might even produce a video ad that you could put out on LinkedIn or Facebook or perhaps YouTube or even on Google. And you then, really just need to make sure that you get that video out there as far and wide as you possibly can. And then obviously you need to start to think about, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to say on that video? How am I going to structure it? And that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about on the webinar. So that's about it for the podcast. I hope I've convinced you, number one, that you should be using video, because you really should. And by the way, if you're somebody thinking, I don't like doing videos, get over it. Just get over it. Just, do it. As Nike would say, get out there and do it. And, if you're not very good at it, then redo it. You don't have to be perfect. If you look at some of my early videos, I look back now and, they're almost cringeworthy, but I really don't care. They're full of really valuable info. The quality's not great, in terms of the lighting might not be right, the background, even the sound might not be perfect, but the content is really good, and that's what people listen to it for. And, get yourself out there, get doing that, but get yourself onto my next Thursday, 12:30, onto my webinar. So thanks ever so much. If you want to meet me, you want to, gain access to my training, my advice. By the way, obviously right now my training's online, my advice, or, if you need somebody to help you with your marketing, I've got a marketing agency called Crofton Marketing Agency. Feel free to get in touch and we can help you by assisting you with the implementation of your marketing. Thank you very much for listening, and looks forward to speaking to you next time on my podcast. Thank you.